Hey there, church family. Welcome back to another video on inspiring stories from church history. In today's video, we'll be looking at the story of an important figure from the early church named Irenaeus. Now, we don't know much about the early life of Irenaeus, but from what we can tell, he was likely born in Smyrna around AD 130. Now, if you recall, Smyrna was the city in modern-day Turkey where Polycarp was from, one of the characters from our previous video. And since Polycarp was not martyred until AD 155, you might be wondering whether Polycarp and Irenaeus knew each other. And the answer is yes. In fact, it seems that Polycarp was Irenaeus' mentor in the faith, just as the Apostle John had been Polycarp's mentor in the faith. Both Polycarp and Irenaeus seem to have inherited the Apostle John's emphases on staying true to the faith, maintaining unity, and fighting heresy, worshiping Jesus as fully God and fully man. As an adult, Irenaeus moved from Smyrna, which was in then called Asia Minor, modern-day Turkey. He moved all the way to the city of Lyon in what is now southeastern France, which was then called Gaul. We're not sure why he moved, but it may have been for missionary reasons. The church in Lyon was relatively new and had recently had its first bishop, which was the head elder, appointed, a man named Pothinus. And Irenaeus became an elder in Lyon, and in AD 177, the church there sent him, as its representative, with a message to Rome. While he was there, persecution against the Christians in Lyon broke out, likely due to the fact that the locals had recently endured plague and enemy raiders, and they blamed the Christians for not worshiping the pagan deities, saying that this was the god's punishment on Lyon. So when Irenaeus returned, he discovered that almost 50 members of the church in Lyon had been killed or had died in prison, including the bishop Pothinus. In light of this, the church in Lyon elected Irenaeus to be their new bishop. He served in this post until his death in AD 202, perhaps being martyred under the same wave of persecution which took the life of Perpetua from our previous video. Now, Irenaeus was chiefly concerned in his ministry with being a loving pastor. He worked to comfort those who had lost loved ones in the persecution. He arranged for missionaries to be sent out to the surrounding unbelieving tribes in modern France. And he addressed the rising temptation for his congregants to leave the church and join certain heretical groups. In particular, there was a group of heresies which grew in popularity throughout the first few centuries of the church, commonly known as Gnosticism. There was no single group called the Gnostics, but rather this term refers to a wide variety of small sects which held to many different beliefs, but which all share some common features. For example, the Gnostics taught that there was a secret knowledge granted only to an elite few, which revealed the true significance of the scriptures, and they built an elaborate system of divine and spiritual beings with many gods, all interrelated in different ways, and according to which they believed that the God of the Old Testament was a different being than the God of the New Testament. They also believed that physical existence was evil, and that the God of the Old Testament had messed up in creating the physical world. So Jesus, in their thinking, was not truly human, and the person who suffered on the cross was not Jesus. Rather than the biblical view that God will redeem his full creation at the resurrection, the Gnostics believed that salvation meant the enlightenment granted by their secret knowledge and a final deliverance from all physical existence. This system of belief was tempting to the Christians in Lyon, not only because the recent persecution had challenged their faith, but also because the Gnostic downplaying of the physical world taught that making an offering of worship to Caesar wasn't a big deal, that it didn't matter at all, which provided a convenient way for Gnostics to avoid any persecution. Also, the idea that some gods are evil could make sense of the suffering they had experienced. So Irenaeus was, needless to say, concerned for the salvation of his flock. So he wrote what has become a classic of Christian theology, a 5-volume work typically referred to as Against Heresies. In the first volume, he shows the internal inconsistencies, the absurdities, the overcomplexities of Gnosticism and of polytheism. In the second volume of the work, he shows how the Gnostics use bad logic to arrive at their beliefs, and also how their teachings are inconsistent with the rule of faith, which is a summary of the interpretation of the scriptures as taught and passed down by the original apostles, shared by the whole Christian church, and similar to the Apostles' Creed. And then in volumes 3 through 5, Irenaeus then works his way through the scriptures from Genesis to Revelation, showing how their interpretation by the Christian church makes much more sense than that of the Gnostics. Other than Against Heresies, only one other book written by Irenaeus has survived, though we know he wrote others as well. In fact, for a long time, the only book we had was Against Heresies, but then in 1904, a copy of his book entitled Demonstration of the Apostolic Preaching was discovered. This was significant because here was a bishop who had heard the apostles preach, who had studied under Polycarp, who had studied under the Apostle John, and here he was claiming to present in a brief summary what the apostles actually taught. Unfortunately, just as in Irenaeus' day, people today are attracted to the idea of secret knowledge. However, those who were expecting to find this in Irenaeus' demonstration were sorely disappointed. On reading this book, what you'll find is nothing much different than what much of the New Testament contains. What Irenaeus does in this book is journey with his audience through the whole Bible from beginning to end, showing how all of it relates to Jesus Christ. It's a book intended to teach new Christians how, in his church, how to read the Bible in the same way as the apostles read the Bible. That is to say, understanding that Christ fulfills God's plan for all of redemptive history. So Irenaeus is frequently considered the first theologian of the Christian church. He has served as an inspiration and an encouragement to many believers, including the Protestant reformers who were attempting to recover the teachings of the Bible and how the apostles understood it. So his story is a helpful example of pastoral love as well. And his writings remind us to stay true to the essentials of the faith, even though Irenaeus also allowed for flexibility and diversity on minor issues, such as when the debate that we mentioned last time on when to celebrate Easter revived. And he still helps us learn to understand all the scriptures and our whole faith in the light of Jesus Christ. So blessings on all of you this week. Once again, I'll post some discussion questions on a slide here at the end for you to use in your family or your small group or wherever. And I'm praying that you all are encouraged by these stories to keep living out the faith, and I will see you all next time.